Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe back, and I'm gonna do my weekly reading update for August 18th, 2019. So if the camera tripod moves, it's because Truman is right here rubbing up against it, so I'm trying to hold it. Anyway, so this was a hard week for me. Again, I had a lot of issues at work with the whole wanting them to move my office and not being really thinking it's a great idea. But I've given up the fight. I moved on Saturday or Friday. I mean, I didn't have a choice, but you know what I mean? Like, I just had to go with the flow. I'm not happy about it, but I'm not going to say anything more. I'm not going to do anything that they'll, can come back and say that I didn't do what I was supposed to. Whatever. Even though they didn't listen to me or ask my opinion or anything. I still am upset about that. And I know, they're the bosses, so they think they know everything. But they don't, because I don't know if they know what I do, and sometimes I feel that way. So, okay, sorry, the cat just went for my notebook. Anyway, so it's been a hard week, and I'm just glad it's done. And again, the move happened on Friday, so I was only in there for a couple hours before I left. And for some reason, everybody was gone on Friday afternoon. It was weird. It was like super ghost town where I worked, and I was like, whatever. So it made it a good time to move all that stuff over, and I put everything together as much as I could. I'll probably be tweaking it as we go, but I'm probably stuck over there for at least a couple months at least before they decide yay or nay if it was a good idea. I still think it's a bad idea. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about, but I did read a lot this week, which is probably because I was trying to escape reality. And so anyway, I'm going to tell you about the books that I finished, the ones I'm in the middle of, and what I think I'm going to read in the next week, which is pretty up in the air. So the first book I finished was, read and finished, was Death Comes as the End by Agatha Christie. This is her Ancient Egypt mystery. And I did not know anything about this until... oh, I just heard about it like just a couple weeks ago from somebody. And, oh, I can't remember. I know there's a lot of, Agatha August, I believe, is the thing going around for reading Agatha Christie in August. And I heard somebody talking about this, and I was like, oh, I don't think I've ever read that one. Now, I read a lot of Agatha Christie when I was a preteen and early teenager. I found her when I was 12 and pretty much read as much as I could. Now, I didn't read everything because she wrote a lot, but I read all the Perrault novels, and I just have never read the Marple ones, so I need to pick up the first one of that one here at some point. But I did pick up this one because it was Ancient Egypt, and I knew I could use it for reading through the ages, and that's again put on by Mel and Mel's Bookland Adventures and Victoria at Eve's Alexandria. So I at least got one checked off. So this was like a fun, as I said, it was Ancient Egypt mystery. So it pretty much is. I didn't like the beginning so much, the way it's set up, because it first talks about the family. So this is following a family. A prominent family, actually, who's the patriarch. Imhotep is pretty much he's one of the priests, so he travels on, state business and stuff, but he has a pretty extensive property, and so his grown sons pretty much watch over it while he is gone, although he has a tight rein on them. And make sure they know that they're all beholden to him. His sons both are married and have children. His daughter is recently brought back to the fold because her husband had passed away, so she and her daughter moved back into the household. And then he has a teenage son who is very teenagey and thinks he knows everything and he can manipulate everything for his benefit, and nobody else is as smart as him. He's a teenager. Anyway, so the whole family is already kind of, they're together and they get along when they have to, but they have their little myths and everything. And the beginning just kind of gets you into that, so you kind of see what the family is like. And so it was a little, if you can get past the first couple chapters, you'll be fine. It will start moving really fast. It's just the description for me was not great on introducing us to everybody. I just thought it was kind of I just didn't like it the way it was done. It was pretty much just like, hey, this is so-and-so, and they're with this person, and they do this, and they do that. And it's just, I don't know. It didn't work for me. But beyond that, it was really good. So everything turns for the family when the father brings home a new concubine. So, you know, he has been widowed for many, many years, but he's decided to bring home a concubine, and she is a young thing, and she just causes havoc. So, it was definitely a good mystery overall. I think maybe the end was a little kind of different. I don't know. I wasn't quite agreed with it, but I think it worked for what they were trying to do. I liked the way that I wasn't sure who it was. I may not have really bought why it was, but I definitely had inklings, but I didn't guess for sure until I was about 3/4 of the way through. And even then I wasn't sure that I was right. So I think it still is a very successful mystery. Again, it's Agatha Christie, so it was just fun. It was light. It was a quick read. I read this in 2 days. I mean, again, I was working those days pretty hard, or they were stressful. So I came home and read this at night and got through it pretty fast. So I really enjoyed that. And I'm glad that I got my Ancient Egypt prompt taken care of, because I have only like a couple boxes checked off, and they're all mostly the free spaces. So I got one prompt done. Anyway. So, as I said, I really enjoyed that. And I would recommend it if you want a quick Agatha Christie, but like an Ancient Egypt. It's just different. I thought it was fun. It was fun. I picked up, next was another pick for Women in Translation Month. I picked up Please Look After Mom by Kyun-Suk Shin. This is translated from the Korean by Chi-Young Kim. So I've seen a lot of people reading this recently, as well as you know, over the last couple of years, which is why I finally had bought it last year, which I thought I'd bought it this year, but no, it takes me forever to get to books, guys. So anyway, I finally picked this up, and I'm really glad I did. The writing was really well done, even though it starts out in second person, which threw me off, because I'm definitely much more into traditional first and third person. So the fact that we started out in second person kind of was like weird, but this was really well done for a second person. Probably one of the best. Sorry, my throat is going dry. This follows a family. The mother goes missing in the Seoul train station. They've come in, she and her husband had come in from the country to visit her children for their birthday celebration. And the father gets on the train, but she doesn't make it onto the train behind him. And then he comes right back, but she's missing and they don't know where she went. So this follows 2 of her children in the beginning, and then her husband a section, and then also one of her other daughters. So it was, I really enjoyed this. It was, I think, really well done. But I would say that this is a book of regret. This is talking about what a family goes through when somebody is missing, and how they realize how much they were neglective of what that person who's missing, how they treated them, and how they didn't, you know, maybe do what they said to do or whatever, and their regrets of not listening to them or even making sure that they were okay. And it was really heartbreaking in certain areas of regret. And I think that was the most driving force of this. And I thought it was really well done. And I did really like this. I didn't like the end. I was like, it's okay. But even that, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't, you know, I didn't want that. I did want more. I just wanted more. And I didn't get it, but that's fine. You know, as I said, it's not every book's going to do that. So I did like it overall. I really recommend this if you want a book and can handle that at that time, about seeing how a family has this tragedy where they've lost someone, and how they're really their whole lives are changing because of this incident. So anyway, I really liked it, and I'm really glad I read this, and I will hopefully read more from her, because I really did enjoy that. Yeah, so if you want to read that for, you know, Women in Translation for the month, or for the readathon that's going on next week from the 25th to the 31st, I would recommend that one. And I will be putting up a TBR for Women in Translation readathon tomorrow. books I think I'm going to read and possibilities of stuff I'm going to read. So anyway, so, and I'd like to hear if you guys have read that book and what you guys thought. So then I picked up another book for my, for the summer book bingo, summer romance book bingo, I think is how it goes, that Sarah at Steeped in Books is doing. I picked up Rules for a Proper Governess by Jennifer Ashley. I wanted something light, and this really did it. So this was a fun, historical romance. This is the 7th book in the Mackenzies and McBride series. I love this series. Some of those books are just some of my favorites. Now, this is not one of my favorites, but this is definitely a good, solid entry into it. We follow Sinclair McBride, and he's a widower with 2 children who are notorious for going through governesses pretty quickly. And he's a barrister, and so he's, you know, working in the law. And Bertie is a pickpocket who one of her friends he helped, and so she got one of her I guess her dad's friend got put into jail, so he orders her to go over and pick his pocket, and she picks up his takes his watch. And so she leaves, and he chases after her because the watch was given to him by his late wife. So he has sentimental value to it. And it's funny, that whole scene, that chase scene. It was hilarious. Anyway, I really enjoyed this because it continues on, and it shows her meeting the children and saving them from something. And she becomes their governess because she's the only one that they kind of listen to. But it was cute. It was a cute romance. I would recommend it. This series, as I said, start from the beginning with the madness of Lord Ian Mackenzie is still my favorite of the whole series. Just, I love Ian. And anytime we get cameos from almost all the other couples in here, and I love that because they just build on each other, and that's the best part of series, is that you get to see the couples from earlier and how they progressed and stuff. And I just love this. So this was really good. This is a book that's been on my TBR since 2014. So I have about 4 books after this that are out now. I think I just got the last one last month. So I'm a little behind, but I'm glad I picked it up. I'm hoping to pick up the next one, hopefully in the next few months, just to try to keep on going. I'm really bad about my series right now, so it's good when I get one done out of that. But again, this is a great historical romance. I definitely recommend it, and especially that series. That series is one of my favorites, historical romance series. So then the book that I'm in the middle of is Let the Great World Spin by Colin McCann. Again, this is my month-long buddy read with Joe Smith. We are in the 3rd section now. We need to be done by the middle of this week. I read quite a bit of it last night, so I have about 30 pages left of this section. I'm about 216 in of 350, so we're making progress. I don't know if I like this book. Like, I don't hate it, but I'm not sure I like it. So most of the sections so far, I get out of them and I'm like, I don't know what that has anything to do with anything. And again, I thought there is a theme of the tightrope walker who between the Twin Towers in 1974, and then it's talking about people who see him or are interested in him as he's doing that, but then the storylines are completely unrelated to that. Just it's that time period. So, and the main story is about not really related to it at all. So it's just kind of weird. I don't quite know what to think about this. I still feel that so much is open-ended, as in I don't know how they connect to the main story. They're just like little vignettes of certain things. There's big sections on that that kind of connect. Some of them do, and then others don't. And then there's these little couple chapters that you're like, what did that have to do with anything? Like, so the section I'm in right now is actually the best section I've read so far. I'm really enjoying this section. And if you've read it, it's on, I think her name's Tilly. And I mean, it's the best section so far I've read. It's fast, it's quick. He does have a tendency to have weird sentence structures, as in a lot of short, concise sentences or little things. So it kind of throws the narrative kind of oddly sometimes. But I do like the section I'm in right now, and is that I'm almost done with that, and then there's one more, I think, chapter before the end of that section. But I'm just like, I don't know about this book. So I'm kind of on the fence, but I'm still reading it. I still find it interesting enough that I'm reading it. Well, we'll see how it goes. And I said I have 30 more pages today to read, and then I will, next weekend, I will finish off the book before Women in Translation readathon, because I want to be done with it by next Sunday. Anyway, so the books that I think I'm going to read next are kind of eclectic. I'm just going to go through them kind of quickly. I'm already such a talker today. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm kind of in a fantasy mood, so I have picked 3 books that one of these I'll pick up, or maybe 2 of them. I don't know. But not all of them, but these are possibilities. So the first one I want to pick up is White Hot by Ilona Andrews. This is book 2 in the Hidden Legacy series. Now, I have read Burn for Me twice, and because it came out like in, I don't know, 2014 or something, and I read it right away thinking the next book was coming out the next year, and it took like 2 or 3 years for this book to come out, and so I forgot most of it, and I reread it earlier this year, and I meant to pick this up right afterwards, and I did not. I don't know where I got distracted, but I did. So this is book 2, and we're following Nevada and Rogan. Rogan is like a one of the like top tier magic users, and he's got quite the past, and he's got quite the trauma and things. He just has he just wants to destroy everything. And then Nevada is trying to keep her family's business afloat, and she has the ability to tell when someone's lying. So they, of course, it is listed as a paranormal romance, and yes, I hate Avon's covers on these books. God, they suck. Anyway, but they call this a paranormal romance, but I would more classify this as an urban fantasy due to the fact that the first 3 books follow the same couple. And to me, that becomes an urban fantasy because it's not focused on the romance that much. I mean, there is steamy scenes in here, but it's not the same as when I think of paranormal romance, when a couple per book, you know, in the series. So I don't know, maybe that's just it's my terminology. Anyway, don't worry about it. I still think these are really good. As I said, the first book was really good. I really liked the way that ending was a shocker. So I know going into this one, I'm hoping we find out more of how that went. Anyway, just chaos and destruction. I can't remember what town they're in. It was hilarious. I thought it was in somewhere in Dallas or something. I don't remember. Oh, I can't remember what town it was in. It was somewhere. So anyway, so I want to maybe pick up that one. I also might want to reread the second book in the Belgariad, Queen of Sorcery by David Eddings. Oh, I cannot say that word today. So this is following Garion and a bunch of people who are kind of different and more than they seem, and they are looking for an object. And it's a great epic fantasy. This is a book I read when I was 14. This series, the first one, the Belgariad series, is 5 books, and I read them when I was 14, and I read them every, 5 to 10 years. So I'm ready for my reread. I read Upon a Prophecy earlier this year, and I really want to continue reading those. So I might pick up that because it's a really fast, because again, they're so short, these ones, compared to other, they're just over 300. Yeah, 326. So that could be pretty fast. And then I might pick up Prudence by Gail Carriger. This is the first book in the Custard Protocol series. I now have all 4 books. And I read this book when it first came out in 2015, but I don't recall everything. I remember certain scenes because they were pretty memorable. And I did get it signed. So I'm hoping to pick this up soon to start finishing that series out. As I said, I have all 4 books now, and I've only read the first book. And Gail Carriger is one of my favorite authors, so I do want to read these. These are steampunk, Victorian times. These are like the kids, the ones in the Parasol Protectorate, which is the series before this. And then so you have some cameos from them in the beginning, and then now that they're young adults, they go off in their dirigible and cause havoc. And so I kind of want to read that too, because I have those other books I need to catch up on another series. So those are all series books and fantasy. I'm in a fantasy mood. But I have 2 women in translation books that I would like to try this week, because I didn't put them on my TBR for next week because I forgot about them. Anyway, I just thought about them. So one of them is The Door by Magna Szabo. And this is translated by Len Rix from the Hungarian. So I don't know a whole lot about this anymore, but it has to, I think it has to do with the writer who's oh, there's some political stuff. So I don't know. Something about her housekeeper. I don't remember. Anyway, but it is a book that I have been wanting to read. And so I thought about I might pick this up this week for, again, women in translation. And then I also have The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Gawa. Now, I read Hotel Iris and hated it. It is one of my most hated books, probably ever. No, not quite that high. I did not enjoy that. I got halfway through it and I DNF'd it because I hated pretty much everything that was happening in that book. But I hear really good things about this one. So this one is translated from the Japanese by Stephen Snyder. So I want to give her one more shot, and everybody talks about this one. This has to do with a professor who has an attention span issue from an accident, and the housekeeper who works in his house to clean, and I think her son also comes into play, and they all have their interactions. And I've heard really good things about this, so I might pick up this one as well. I don't know. We'll see. And again, I have a whole stack of other women in translation that I would like to read, but I don't know what I'll go to, so we'll see. So that is all I have. It's really, it's very eclectic. As I said, I've been all over the place, and I really don't know what I'm going to read after I get my pages done for Let the Great World Spin. I'm hoping it'll be something fantasy, and then I'll pick up one of the translation works, and then maybe I'll pick up another fantasy, and then I'll pick up another women in translation work. I don't know. We'll see. So, what are you guys reading? Have you had a good week reading? Is any of these think I should pick up sooner rather than later? Let me know, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.